Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to In the Zone. Came out of it a little hot today, folks, because Pete's back. Pete's married, and he's a married man now, folks. Just saw his beautiful wife inside, and tomorrow's the big celebration. So we're looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it. Really going to have a good time with that. So, Pete, congratulations. Has anything in your life changed dramatically?
Not really, no. No, not really. I've been very happy over the last 5 years, and this pretty much just made it official.
That's awesome. Awesome. I couldn't be happier. We're going to jump off in Pete's Corner. We're going to rock and roll today. Last week we had an unbelievable fill-in guest, Mr. Brady LePage. That kid's got a great vibration about him. Really did an awesome job because he did Pete's job last week. Yep. The whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. And he was good. But I'm glad to have my ride and die partner back in the seat because he's just the MVP. Okay, Pete, you ready to go?
Yeah, why not? I know we're going to address the big elephant in the room right after the three-peat questions, so I'm not going to hit that off my three-peat.
Thank you.
How big was the opening weekend for NBA?
So we're going to get into all of that as well, but we can touch on a few of the baselines of it right now, which is a great question, great place to start, folks. With the lamp is lit. NBA basketball is underway. We've had 3 nights. We're going to take you through 1, 2, and 3. And the NBA is, right now, they've got, it's merely the same thing that they've had for a little while, is they have a pretty large schism in the NBA between the really, really great young talent that they have, and they also have some stars that are riding off into the sunset, notably LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry now even, is starting to get up there in age. Draymond, some of those guys are starting to get up there. And so it's kind of an interesting, really cool dynamic going on in the NBA right now. I think they got off to a pretty good start. I've watched the games. I would take them to task a little bit on the scheduling. First night they come out, as they did the year before, 2 games, 2 very good games, excellent competition. It showed well. But then the next night they flood the zone with like 40 games. Your head is spinning. You can't keep up with it. There's just everybody's out there playing, and it's just way so much action going on at that moment. And then the very next night, last night, they cut back to 2 games. So I'm trying to figure it out myself, but the 2 games to start, I love it, and I get it. You got to flood the zone because you got 30 teams, but
either everybody
come back on the second day with a really good round of teams, and come back on the first day with a solid round of teams, and I think everybody's going to like it a little bit better.
I would say if opening day, if they did 10, 10, and 10 or something like that, 5 games each day, I think that would be huge.
That's the only thing I would take them to task on. The games were very good. When they went 2-2, 3 of those 4 games went into overtime. 2 of them went into double overtime. So they're exciting games, and they're well-matched games because they're bringing back, you had the Pacers go up against OKC last night, which is a rematch of last year's championship game. Yeah. Pacers without Halliburton, but still a great game, double overtime, really good game. Pascal Siakam is stepping up and becoming a real pro. Just a really good game. So I think they're off to a pretty good start for me. I don't know about the rest of the world thinks about it, and I don't know when this, the one thing is that we're leaving out this big gorilla that just walked into the room, an elephant that just stomped into the room, and, what does that forebode, and what does that change? We'll see.
We'll need more time than a Pete's question for that one.
And it's so much worse than everybody knows. What they're going to let on to right now.
Oh, this is the tip of the iceberg.
It's so much worse. I'm going to say that right off the get. It's so much worse. Now, they'll go duck and cover. They've dropped this at the right time or the wrong time. You tell me. They drop it at the right time because now people are going to get distracted by the games. Or did they drop it at the wrong time because now people are going to get distracted by the scandal?
So my
from the
opinion
games.
is they dropped it at the absolutely perfect time because they sent a clear message to the entire league. We're not going to mess around. If you're going to think about doing it, don't. And that don't has teeth behind it.
We're going to talk about it much later in the show, right after Pete's Corner, but this is the four families of the mafia.
Yep.
This is the FBI. This is the NBA. That's not your usual Nexus triangular situation. That's not your normal triangle offense that Phil Jackson used to run. So I don't, it's. I would say from what I've seen, they got off to a good start. The level of competition's been very good. I like the fact that they go head to head with some of the really good teams from last year. I just don't know what's going to happen after this thing comes to fruition.
Gotcha. All right, question
Great
number
question.
2. Does the conference divide in the NCAA get bigger now with the NIL really hitting its stride?
Yeah, it already has. It already has. This was the design. People are a little surprised by this, but if you go back to earlier shows that you and I did, we're talking about this. We're saying this is where they're going. This isn't a mistake. This isn't some just thing that just popped out of nowhere. This was by design. And the design is to create a 1AA almost without creating 1AA. Without telling all of the mid-majors and all of the lower conference schools, just go down, you don't matter anymore. We're going to run things up top. We're going to control the tournament up top, and that's the way it's going to work from here on out. That's exactly the way this thing is moving. And football is growing and growing and growing and getting bigger, and that was the biggest thing of all, to begin with, and they're just getting bigger. College basketball is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know what's happening to the rest of the 18 sports that they have on that campus? They're getting smaller and smaller and smaller because the resources are all going to the top now. Every dollar, every single hand is on making sure that those teams win, making sure those teams have enough money, making sure they can make payroll, as some of these schools. This is one of the things I think that's, maybe we'll illuminate something here. I think a lot of these teams start the season with promises of what they have to deliver, and I don't know that they have the money on hand to deliver that right away. It's something like, I've heard, at different times, how much do we need for the year? $3 million. How much do we have right now? 2.5. There's only a month left in the season. And so I think if you see some teams that don't come out of the locker room well in the second half of the season, you might want to say that somehow there were some promises made that weren't kept and they just ran out of budget. They just ran out of money. Or some guys didn't play up to what they were supposed to do, and maybe the coaches said, you know what, we're okay with what we gave you. Who knows? It's a Wild West show for sure. Good question, Pete. Let's shoot for 3.
All right, question number 3. I'm doing on the fly because I'm reacting to something that you said in the last question. Does the NIT now become the mid-major tournament?
By design, yes.
Great question.
I
mean, the NCAA now promoted as the NCAA March Madness becomes 2 tournaments. One is for the mid-major schools because they're not getting they don't get the athletes the big schools get, and now the big schools get their 64 team tournament. It goes back to 64, and it becomes 64 on the NIT, and now they've basically placated, allegedly, both sides. So you get the super conferences on their one side getting their big tournament, and the NIT gets proper TV coverage as the makeup deal for basically putting mid-majors out of business.
By design, I believe. That's exactly the way this has been trending. That's the way I think they want it, and I think that's the way, they'll turn over. That's why you have some of these other tournaments that have formed, the Crown and the CIT, where you actually pay to go into some of those tournaments. Here's the thing that would kind of delineate that, is what you're doing is you're saying that the lower level teams will never ever get a share in the real high revenue tournament spot. Like, for example, we'll talk about Sister Jean. Last week we talked about her in the show. Loyola Chicago was an Atlantic 10 team. George Mason was an Atlantic 10 team that made a Final Four run. They went all the way to the top. They got a lot of dough, not only for themselves, but also for their conference, because there's a profit sharing setup in the conference. So when the money comes in and they go all the way to the Final Four, everybody in that conference gets a piece too. So what you're saying to the mid-majors is you're going to play small ball for the rest of time, you know? And it just has a fairness level to me, because I think when you do this, now that you're able to pay players and mid-major programs, if they want to really hustle, can come up with the same payroll that anybody else has. They won't have the same revenue, but they can go into lane number 2 and work that collective and work other avenues that are out there so that they can raise as much money as anybody. So I think that's going to be a problem, as well as when some of these mid-majors start dropping huge dollars on some of these kids and getting them as well. I think you're going to see the big four, you know, start to say, whoa, wait a second, these guys got as much money as we do. Do football schools place themselves at an advantage over basketball, under basketball schools, because they don't have football to pay? Football, 75% of your NIL money is going into football. If you're a school like Villanova that doesn't play big-time football, St. John's doesn't play big-time football, that money's all going into basketball.
Right.
That money's all staying home. So I think it's going to be, you know, the revenue from football also has drive to it. So there's going to be some offset there, but I think that that's going to be interesting to watch. And if that does start to occur, where you're going to see mid-major schools and they start saying, okay, we've got a donor just like St. John's does. We've got a fat cat donor just like they do, willing to pump up any money we need into the program. There's mid-majors that are going to be able to do that. Let me tell you who could do that in a heartbeat. The Ivy Leagues.
Yeah,
could
sure.
run this thing in a heartbeat if they ever so desired in this new format, because every single one of those schools can go to their people and say, hey, we need millions. We need a big, you know, and then you're going to have this crossover between the development teams at those colleges and the teams that are trying to raise money for the athletics collective. So what you're saying is you're going to the same millionaire. They're both showing up at the same millionaire's house. and they're going to get the donation, but the donation's going to go one way and be earmarked one way. I want this to go to men's basketball. Boom, there's my million. You know, where normally they would go, okay, we're going to just take the million, put it into the school fund and allocate it as need be. Maybe it's scholarships, maybe it's some other stuff, but it's basically an allocation. Yeah, this is going to be completely different. And what's going to be, they're going to be stepping over each other. That's what I said the interesting part will be. What happens when the money runs out? When these schools were all living off of this money.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah, and these schools were all living off of this money. Some of these schools were absolutely living off the revenue that they were getting because they could put it into the school coffers. So when enrollment went down, they could buffer it because they had a really good season in football. You know, they could buffer it because they had a really good season in basketball. You know, but this is now they're eating their own.
Yep.
They're eating their own dollars. You know, we're bringing in all those dollars to campus and we're just eating them our own. And that's where I think this thing is, if there's any kind of head here, if there's any kind of, you know, council of presidents, you know, they have such a thing. Council of presidents, all the presidents in the country, you know, that's where you might get some action, Pete. 3 great ones, though, Pete. 3 great ones.
Yeah, it was that third question, I had something completely different in mind, but I heard what you were saying about that, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Something just popped in my head, and it makes complete sense to me.
Now, I want to jump right into the gambling stuff because I'm fired up, Pete. We gave it to them.
I sent you a text yesterday.
We told them, and
we
told them and laid it out for them in exact fashion of the way that this stuff is going. Now, I'm going to give you a quick Bruce Springsteen quote, all right? And it says, "You've gone 1,000,000 miles. How far did you get? To that place where you can't remember and you can't forget." That's where the NCAA and the NBA is right now. They can't remember, but they also can't forget. They blew this thing, Pete. They blew this thing wide. And let me tell you how bad it is. Just previous to this, as if it's almost like they're slapping the face of the people that love the game And they're slapping the face of the people that buy the tickets, watch the television, and doing all of it. And this is what I mean by that. When they got caught on FBI wiretaps, when they had head coaches saying, I need X amount of dollars from Adidas so that I can land a player. Well, we had that on wiretaps. What happened right after that occurred? Widespread reform? A big commission? No. NIL and the portal came right after it. It's almost like they're slapping you in the face. And now you come out with, just 2 weeks prior, you say you're now going to allow college basketball players to gamble on pro games, level Division 1, 2, and 3. And then they knew this was in the hopper. This is an FBI investigation. They were told this long time ago. Now this drops the week right after they say, hey, everybody can become the new Jontay Porter. Gamble, get jammed up, get coerced. And that's exactly what happened to that young man. And now they're opening the door for all of these college players who now have millions of dollars to go the same way. I've been in Mohegan Sun, folks. I've watched members of the Celtics drop $300,000 in a night. I was shocked. I got to be honest with you. I have never, ever in my life spent $1 in a casino. Not $1. I don't have it. I don't have the dollar. Okay? These guys have tons of money, but even a guy that's making millions of dollars loses $300,000 in one night and then goes back another time and another time. Now you're going to see exactly what happened here. You have the 4 families of the mafia tied into this. They can't agree on anything.
Right.
They never agree on anything. They did on this. And here's what you got. 2 separate indictments. It's going to get much worse. It is much worse. Let's just see how much leaks out of the engine right now, okay? But here it is. You're in 2 lanes. You got the indictment of a bunch of guys who were set up through the mafia, and the NBA coaches and some of the other affiliates were bringing in large dollar donors to play in these big poker games. All right? I don't really have a problem with that. Guy's $1 million guy, a billionaire. He wants to go spend $500,000 in a poker game. I really don't have a problem with that. Now, one of the it's illegal now. It's an illegal poker game because it ain't taking place in one of those casinos where the government can get their grab on it as well. So that's a bit of a problem as well. But here's the real problem. Those guys were bringing people into play that they knew had associations with. They knew them, and they knew the game was fixed and rigged.
Everybody was in on it, but the mark.
But the guy who came in, the
mark,
sting.
yeah.
We're talking about, this is what they're saying. I'm having a hard time believing this, but this is like the ridiculousness of the tech, okay? They had x-ray machines or something in the table. So even when the cards were down, they could see the cards.
Yep.
They had automatic shuffling machines with cameras in them. They had people that had contact lenses that were able to see through the opposing players' cards. A complete and utter setup, a scam. It's not even a real game.
Everybody at the table, including the dealer, was in on the scam.
Everybody.
Except for the guy, the mark. The guy they made as
and
the
they
mark.
think they're showing up to a high-stakes poker game.
With
they're
a
smoking
NBA
their
player,
cigars.
yeah.
They're having their drinks, and everybody's having a good time.
Yep.
And the real thing of it is that how would you get an NBA coach or anybody like that to do that? He's got to be into them.
Gambling debt, yeah.
He's got to be into them.
Yeah.
Rozier was, Jontay Porter was into them.
Yep.
You got 4 families of the mafia here. This is unbelievable. They have a robbery. This is what didn't show up. But here's the other indictment. The other indictment is that there was actual prop betting and going on
Fixing.
in the NBA, in the college games.
Yeah, fixing.
Damon Jones is one of LeBron James's closest friends, what's apparently, and some of the stuff around this is now pointing towards that direction. If this blows like that, because this is a new FBI, folks. This is a new administration. And these guys aren't playing the same way these other guys were playing.
But here's the thing. They said this investigation was multi-year. They could have launched this investigation under the last president or even before, and they've been sitting on it. Now they're taking action on it. It's different.
No. They cleared Jonte Porter.
Yeah, but they said
The NBA went in and looked at it and said, oh, no, he's okay. Remember, they brought him back.
the whole investigation. Yeah, but I'm talking the FBI side of the house.
And Rozier, they had cleared Rozier.
The NBA did.
Now you have a new FBI who comes in and says, whoa, why did you clear those guys? Why did nothing happen to them? Because there's obviously stuff going on there. And then you tie it into these poker games with the mafia. I mean, this is
But that means the NBA knew about it because they said the NBA was cooperating.
They are absolutely they were in. I'll tell you they knew about it because what happened to Rozier right after all of those bad plays fell off of his sneaker, all of those bad dribbles fell off of his shin, ball went to the other team. What happened right after that? The NBA took him out for the year. They had this thing that he was hurt. The NBA shut him down. He was shut down by the NBA most likely. There's no question about that. So that will tell you how long they've known. Mm-hmm. And then to drop it right after they say, we're going to have college gambling for Division 1, 2, and 3. Man, they're just slapping people in the face, if you ask me. This is unbelievable. Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, Damon Jones. We're talking about the Hornets, the Lakers, the Raptors, and the Blazers. 4 NBA teams that are implicated. Obviously, everybody's entitled to get a trial. They're entitled to their diligence legally, and I believe in that 100%. But
I think the U.S. attorney said during the press conference, because I was on the road while this was happening, and I listened to it on satellite radio. The U.S. attorney said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. These are the cases that we have locked in, and we wouldn't go to court with them unless we thought we could win.
I want to be sad about it, but I feel like I've known about this for a really long time, deep down in my heart, that this was going on. It's going to keep going on. Wait till they hit the college ranks and loop in some of those guys. It's going to be, I don't know, man. What have they done to the game that I love so much, Pete? I really don't know.
Well, it's going to get a serious reckoning now because when the government gets involved, that's when it becomes a thing. When you try to police yourself, we saw this with the NCAA, we've seen it now with the NBA. When you try to police yourself, it gets swept under the rug. When the federal government starts stepping in, whether it be Congress or whatever, it doesn't get swept under the rug anymore. It becomes front and center.
You know, I think I'm hopeful that maybe this will bring about some recommendation. But you remember what happened. The FBI was involved in the last time when the coaches were involved, and they sent a few assistant coaches to jail. But that was basically, it was fugazi, if you ask me. The people they went after, they didn't, not going after any head coaches that they had legitimately involved in that and hanging assistant coaches out to dry. The FBI worries me. They always do because they're part of the government, and the government's job is to keep the government healthy. The government's job is to make sure there's no scandal. The government's job is to keep all of that deflection and keep it away from them. So they scare me a little bit, to be honest with you, especially around things like this. So I'm hopeful because I'm really, I don't know what they can do, right now because they just let the cat out of the bag right before they let this out. You think the FBI would have told them, hey, you might want to hold back on that gambling thing. It might not be the most opportune time to drop that little bomb you got there, right after what we're going to do to you 3 days after that.
I think the current FBI director has been the target of the FBI before, and he's smart enough to run the joint, and I think he doesn't care. He's going to do it by the book.
He appears to be...
Because he's been the target of the FBI.
100%. And he appears to be front and center on this.
Yep.
He appears to be involved heavily in this. So I I'd be interesting. All right, let's actually get to the games, Pete. Let's talk about what actually happened. We opened up on Tuesday, October 21st, and the games were excellent. You're looking at the Thunder and the Rockets. I was really excited about this game. It ended in double overtime. Durant playing extremely well, mixing well with the Rockets, and the Thunder back in Thunder mode, man. They won again last night. They're solid. They're solid. They're doing everything well. What I think the NBA also, if they want to get away from this, stop telling the referees to blow the whistle every time SGA gets anybody goes near him. It's Michael Jordan rules for SGA right now. And if you look at it, his shooting percentages are terrible. His three-point percentages are not good. He gets in the lane. He's great in the lane. He's really good like that. But then people leave their feet, and he just jumps into them and gets a foul on them. And I think that's like schoolyard basketball. I think the NBA's got to clean that up a little bit. I think he's got way too much advantage in that whole situation. But as I would tell most of the guys, you're covering him, stay down. Wall off and stay down. All right, but 125 to 124, double overtime game. I watched it, very good game, solid all the way around. The NBA has a different vibe to it than college basketball does. So when I'm in practice and I'm doing my thing in my own practice, or I'm watching Division I practices, there's a different vibe there. You get to an NBA thing, it's almost like a little bit of a shock there, that you got to kind of shock yourself into it, because you're watching something almost completely different. All right, Warriors and Lakers, really good game. No LeBron, no Bronny. 119-109. The Lakers go down. The Warriors have looked good. Both nights they've been out. They were in overtime again last night. Steph Curry looks like he's back healthy and having a good year. Wednesday, this is when we go from having 2 games to open, and now we go to a landslide of games. And there were some good ones. You had the Knicks and the Cavaliers locked in. The Knicks did a great job, 119-111. Really good job. Again, Brunson, I think I take him like SGA. He goes in the lane. His shooting percentages are usually terrible. Three-point percentages aren't good. But he makes his money at the foul line because he's always getting people off balance and drawing fouls. 119-111. The Knicks open up and in good fashion. The Hornets, with their Caucasian persuasion, going in and beating the Nets, 136-117. Kalkbrenner played well. Knuppel played well. They got a bunch of white guys over there, and they're balling. All right, you got the Magic, 125 over the Heat in the Battle of Florida. You got a big win for the Magic there in the DeSantis Bowl. Wagner, Banchero, boom, boom. Out go the lights. The Heat. I got word for you, man. The Heat going to have a long year. It's going to be a long year down in Miami. All right, now we go to the Raptors. This was a big surprise. I would say the biggest surprise of the season so far. The Raptors 138 over the Hawks, 118. Porzingis shows up, and there goes your defense. Give up 138 points to the Raptors. The Toronto Raptors, Barrett, Barnes, quickly. They got a decent lineup there. Podol, not a bad lineup. I think the Raptors might improve this year. Let's see if they stay healthy. 76ers and the Celtics. I got news also for the Celtics fans. It's going to be a long year. It's going to be a long year. That lineup is terrible. That lineup is not good. It's decimated. Tatum comes back. It won't make a big difference either. That roster needs to be rebuilt. That roster needs a complete overhaul. It's kind of like my Jeep engine. The tranny needs an overhaul, man. 117, 116. The Celtics lose to the 76ers. Pete, I'm going to crack. I've done it on Twitter already, but I'm going to crack an In the Zone nickname right now.
All right.
You have VJ Edgecombe, the fantastic freshman guard that came and has just lit up the NBA with some great play. We're going to talk about him in a minute. And you've got Tyrese Maxey. He's back. He's healthy. And man, oh man, can those guys pump the ball into the basket. Their new name is VJ Max. VJ Max, VJ Edgecombe, and Tyrese Maxey. We're going VJ Max. It's just like TJ Maxx, where most of my girls spend most of their time. Okay. The Bulls, 115. Over the Pistons, 111. How did this happen? I'm so excited about the Pistons. What a great year last year. Cade Cunningham leading the way. Oh, my God, the Bulls. 115, 111. Good start for Billy Donovan, Billy the Kid. Grizzlies over the Pelicans. 128, 122. Good sign for the Pelicans. Zion's back, and he's playing well. He's healthy. He's in shape. He's agile, hostile, and mobile. I don't know if he's got enough around him with that Pelican squad, though. Grizzlies, 128, 122. Ja Morant, monster game. The Bucks, 133 over the Wizards, 120. Middleton, Chris Middleton goes back. He was a Buck on that championship team. He's now with the Wizards. We apologize to the Middleton family. Wizards are going to be a long year. He had a shot with the Bucks, and again, some injuries, but he did win a ring with the Bucks. So when he goes back now, is he going to get treated well or is he going to get booed? The Bucks fans were terrific. Bucks fans, first class. Shout out from In the Zone to my Milwaukee Bucks fans. Great job. They brought him back, gave him a huge ovation, and he's one of them. He's family. People move in and around the NBA, but I love what you're doing, Milwaukee. I love it. All right, but 128, 122 over the Pelicans. You got the Bucks, 133, 120 over the Wizards. The Jazz, this is a team I'm a little excited about. They started Kessler and Filipowski together. Two bigs. Went Twin Towers. I like it. Kessler had a monster game. I think Filipowski's going to be good. Not sure those two going to fit together for the whole thing, but I see Kessler maybe as a stretch four because he's shooting the ball well right now. So we'll see how that develops. Ace Bailey, oh, man, he had the worst game of all the first-rounders. Terrible game for my man Ace. All right? He got rid of his agent. We'll see. Better get some good people around you, man. Start training, start focusing, start realizing where you are, man. This is the big leagues.
You're in
Spurs
the
over
now.
the Mavericks. Cooper Flag goes up against Wembayana. And I don't know, man. Somebody must have told Wembayana before the game because he smoked their entire team. And if this guy's back from deep vein thrombosis, first game back, oh, my God, it's going to be a long year for the rest of the league. Spurs, he was all over the place. 40-plus points, rebounding everywhere. He looked good. The big guy looked good. I hope he stays healthy. I think he's good for the league. 125-92. Cooper Flag, by his own admission, not a great start. 10-10, not terrible, but you know, if you're used to big things and you're expecting big things, and then you show up and there's a 7'5" guy chasing down every one of your jumpers, it gets a little rough. All right, so the Suns and the Kings. Good win for the Suns. 120-116. That's Booker's team now. That's Booker's whole squad now because they don't have a lot around him. But it's not terrible either. They'll be okay, I think. Timberwolves and Blazers. Timberwolves 118, the Blazers 114. Didn't see Scoot Henderson in the lineup. I'm not sure if he's injured. Timberwolves, monster. When I say we're approaching Halloween, monster game out of Anthony Edwards. We'll take you through some of the stars right after we're done here because last night we'll close out Thursday, two-spot. They had a two-spot going. The Thunder against the Pacers, the rematch. The trilogy is starting, maybe. We're going to go to the rematch. Great job by Carlisle keeping his team together without Miles Turner, without Halliburton. But I'm going to tell you one thing right now. I'm going to say it live on the air. I like Tyrese Halliburton. Shows up in an unbelievably beautiful pink sweater last night, looking like a fashion model. Unbelievable while he's on the bench being hurt, nursing his Achilles. But let me tell you, they picked up another assistant coach with this guy. He was in the players, talking to them. He was coaching. He was cheering. He was unbelievable. I love that guy. He's unbelievable. All right. His father, maybe they keep on the sidelines a little tighter. All right. But 141, 135 in double OT. And I watched that game when I got home. It was a good game. Nuggets and Warriors, another really good game as well. Overtime game. The Nuggets had it. And then Steph Curry, man, you got to stay on him. Edgecombe, 34 points, was the most for a first-year player since the big fella, Wilt Chamberlain, came in the league. Unbelievable. All right, we're going to start with the rookie class, and then we're going to take you through some of the great performances that have been out there so far. And there have been a lot of good ones. All right, VJ Edgecombe, king rookie right now, rookie of the year after the first 3 games. 34 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and dominant. His numbers were off the charts. This guy says, I had a generator for 7 years. I lived in a trailer for 7 years. He goes, I'm in the NBA right now. I love his vibe, man. This kid's going to be an all-star. Okay, we got Jeremiah Fears, 17-2. Didn't shoot it well, but he's a spark plug. He likes to go. Dylan Harper, 15-4-2. Not bad starting. Excuse me. Trey Johnson, 16-5-2, 4 of 8 from three-point range. We're excited about Trey Johnson. Cedric Howard, the guy who was supposed to go to Duke. Man, I'm looking at him play the other night. If he had gone to Duke, you're talking about a possible national championship there. Wow. We got Cedric Howard, 14-3. He did not miss a shot. During that game. Agor Demin, I cracked him. I didn't like this pick. I certainly didn't like it as high as it was. I thought he was certainly a first-round pick, but certainly not as high as where he was taken by the Nets. But he had a decent game. He had 14-5-2. Not bad. Con Knuppel, 11-5-1. That was a bit of a buffet that the Hornets had. Everybody was in that game. Everybody was showing there and showing well. Kalkbrenner, 10 of 11. 10 points, 11 rebounds. Great performance for him going out for the Hornets. I like him. He's solid. He also shot 83% from the floor. That's why you like him. Cooper Flagg, 10-10, as we said. Walter Clayton, really good game for the Jazz. That's why I'm liking the Jazz. They've got a squad there. And he goes 10-6-5. Walter's going to be a solid pro. Ace Bailey, 2-4-2. 2 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Get it together, Ace. Okay. Backdoor cut, Pete. VJ Edgecombe. This is unbelievable. Is now tied with Ben Simmons for 3-pointers made in his career. Ben Simmons in his career is 5 of 36 from 3-point range. He has not taken one since 2023. Holy Moses. All right, we've got opening week stars for you. We've got some good ones. We're going to rock and roll right through them. Alperen Sengun of the Rockets, first night out, played amazing. 39 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. Great game for the Rockets. The Rockets with him and Durant, they got some punch there. Durant had a good game as well, 23-9-3, solid. Brought some big shot making at the end of that game. SGA, 2 nights in a row now. His first night out, 35, 5, and 5 assists. Here's what I'm talking about the shooting, though. 12 of 6 of 26. 12 of 26 from the floor and 1 of 9 from 3-point range. He goes 10 of 14 from the line, which is where he gets a real good part of his points. Here's Holmgren with a different kind of stat line. 28 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, but he was 11 for 17. 2 of 5 from 3-point range and 4 for 4 from the line. Jimmy Butler's back, folks. 31 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Him and Curry are going to carry that team this year. Luka, I say Luka because no LeBron. Holy smokes, Luka. 43, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. Only 2 for 10 from 3-point range. Something's been up with his jump shot lately. Not sure what it is, but there's something going on with his jump shot. I'm not sure if it's a confidence thing or it's a mechanical thing, but something's going on with him. Okay, big guy, Donovan Mitchell of the Cavaliers, big game. 31 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. The Knicks really badly out-rebounded the Cavaliers in that game. Donovan Mitchell, 6'5". When he takes up off the floor, he can really, really dunk the ball any way you like it. 2 rebounds, got to get on the glass a little bit more and helps that Cavalier team. Anunoby for the Knicks, 24 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists. Great start of the season for him. And Brunson, he's a lot like SGA, 23, 4, and 5. But he goes 5 of 18, 1 of 9 from 3-point range, but then goes 12 of 13 from the line. Just head faking people and diving into them. I don't like it. Nick Claxton from the Nets, good opening game. The only guy from the Nets that really played well. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. They got bopped. Brandon Miller of the Hornets, 25 points, no rebounds, 7 assists. Brandon, you're 6'8". 6'8". No rebounds, 48 minutes. Come on. Con Knuppel, we've mentioned him. Solid game. He'll be all right. Norman Powell for the Heat out of UCLA, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. They're going to have to rely on him all year. That team stinks. Banchero from the Magic, 24, 11 rebounds, 1 assist. A little surprised by the 1 assist. He can pass the ball. Wagner from the Magic as well, 24, 4. He had 6 assists. He can play, that kid. He can really go. Okay, I give you 2 Raptors right in a row. R.J. Barrett, monster game. He goes for 25, 8 and 5. And then Scotty, my man Scotty, back with the Raptors, 22, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. He shows up in more categories than Walmart. Jalen Johnson from the Hawks. The Hawks are in trouble, man. Everybody's so excited about this team. Defensively, they're going to have problems. He had a good game, 22, 7, and 8. What a balanced floor game there. Here's Porzingis, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Probably gave up 40 points on the other side, though. Tyrese Maxey and Edgecombe VJ. Max, wait till you hear these numbers. 40 points for Maxey, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. 40 points and 6 assists. Unbelievable. Backed up with VJ Edgecombe, 34 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. VJ Max goes for 74 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, while shooting 12 of 22 from three-point range. 12 of 22 from three-point range. That's something Edgecombe didn't show before. If that's going to be added to his repertoire, you better give him the Rookie of the Year trophy right now. All right. We got Brown with the Celtics. Jalen, 25, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Him and White, they're going to combine for 50 every single night, but the Celtics don't have enough. All right, they've got 25, 3 and 4 for White. Cade Cunningham with the Pistons, monster game, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. Monster game. Just missed out on a double-double. Nikola Vucevic, this is why the Bulls won. 28 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists for the big European. And Josh Giddey, wait till you hear these assist numbers. 19 points, 5 rebounds, 11 assists. Mr. Giddey, welcome to Chicago. Zion, 27, 9 and 5. Great opening game for the big dog. Ja Morant, 35, 3 and 3. Unbelievable game for him. Here's the big dog, Giannis, from the Bucks. He stayed, 37 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. He has no peers. He's Giannis. He's a Greek god. Middleton with the Wizards now. He'll help them. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. We got a few more. Ivica Zubac from the Clippers, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Here's my man Kessler. I like him. From the Jazz. He was at North Carolina, transferred out and went to Auburn. And now you got him for 23, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 7 of 7 from the floor, 2 of 2 from three-point range, 8 of 10 from the free throw line. If he didn't miss those 2 free throws, he would have been perfect all night. I like this guy. Off the bench for the Jazz, Bryce Sensabaugh. Sensible Plick for the Jazz, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists off the bench the other night. Here's my big guy, Wembayana from the Spurs, 40 points, 15 rebounds, and 1 assist.
Holy cow.
The 1 assist he had was a mistake that fell off his leg because he was lit up, shooting everything, blocking everything, and just running the floor like a gazelle. Anthony Davis for the Mavericks, 22, 13, 1 assist. He was 7 of 22 from the floor. You know why? Because of Wembayana. Okay, Zach LaVine of the Kings, 30 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Great game. Good place for him. He's going to score a lot of points for the Kings. Booker with the Suns, he's the only guy out there. He's the only sun in the sky. 31, 5 and 3. Anthony Edwards, this is the game I was talking about. 41 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. And then you have Jeremy Grant from the Blazers off the bench. 27 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Those are your big-time performers. Those are your big-time people. Let's skip into the college ranks because we're moving, we're grooving, and we're cooking this thing today, Pete. Big East coaches poll is out. They differed from the AP and the other ones. They went with St. John's number 1. Connecticut number 2. Everybody has that. Everybody has that. That's going to be close. But keep an eye on this Creighton team. So well coached. Such a great offense. Providence at 4. I want to see it first. That coach hasn't gotten any traction there yet, and I don't believe it, especially not over my guy Shaka. Shaka Smart's been in the top 3 of the Big East for the last couple of years. Somebody got to knock the crown off of Shaka. Georgetown at 6. I thought GW had a good game against them the other day. GW at home in a scrimmage exhibition. Kudos to Ed Cooley for going crosstown and keeping that rivalry, which had not been going for a while, getting it going, keeping it going. GW played very well. Georgetown at 6. I've seen them at 11th. There's a lot of movement on that team. Villanova at 7. Give Willard a little time, but I think they might be better than that. He's a pretty good coach. Xavier at 8. Richard Pitino going up against Dad Rick Pitino, and that's going to be a great matchup. DePaul at 9. Butler at 10. Seton Hall, Shaw Holloway thought they would have a better team. I saw his press conference the other day, and they thought they had a better team. We've got some scrimmage scores for you. These are scrimmages from the NCAA. We'll skip through a few. Penn State over Cal, Pennsylvania, 114-52. We've got Robert Morris, 77, over UMass MAC opponent Buffalo, 55. That's a little surprising. Richmond, 76, over Norfolk State, 63. Wake Forest, 75, over East Tennessee State, 59. Auburn beat Georgia Tech, 50-42, low-scoring affair. Pitt over Providence, 81-74. Illinois over Illinois State, 92-65. You got a blowout there. Here's the one that was interesting. UMass 92 over Brown 74. UMass hung a bunch of points in the second half there. A bunch of points in the second half there. All right, so you had some great opening night stuff. We've got some AP preseason All-Americans for you as well. The AA All-American is huge recognition. Now, we've talked about this before. I'll reiterate. Becoming a preseason anything is a long way from being an All-American. It's like getting a phone number in the Marriott dance floor, but you're a long way from the altar. Okay? So being a preseason All-American is great. It's based upon what you've most likely done in the past, what portends to the future, but it don't guarantee you anything. Okay, let's just be smart about that. Let's be clear about that. All right, here they go. Preseason. And this is, again, a great team. It's a really good team. But I would say that there's 5 guys below this that you could easily juxtapose, flip in here, and have a second first team. This wasn't easy. All right? So they go with Braden Smith at Purdue. Many consider Braden Smith to be the number 1 point guard in the country. You've got Trey Kaufman-Renn. People are excited about Purdue. Braden Smith is one of the reasons. And again, best point guard in the country. I don't know about that, but he's pretty good. Good player. A.J. Dabonsa out of Boston, Brockton area. Went to BYU. Was at Utah Prep for a year. A.J. Dabonsa, first-team All-American. Hasn't played a game. I'd almost like to see a rule that you can't be a preseason All-American if you have never played a game. At the end of the year, certainly. But preseason All-American, to compare them to all these other guys, does he belong here? Yeah, he does. He had 31 the other night in an exhibition game. He belongs here. All right? Jacob Toppin, Texas Tech. Right now I have him as maybe the number 1 player in the country. But after watching Dabonsa the other night, he's a load. He's going to be hard to handle for people. And especially with BYU's roster, you're not going to be able to key on him. If you double on him, he's going to be able to score. He'll score on you anyway. But also, they got some other guys on that team, Saunders and some other players on that team, that'll make you wish you didn't. Yaxel Lendenberg from Michigan, the big transfer, maybe the biggest portal transfer of the year, winds up at Michigan. Huge payday, 31 points the other day. Looks like he was worth it. Came out of UAB, was interested to see how he would make that climb up from UAB, which is a kind of a high mid-major. Now you're at Michigan, which is the high. And I wanted to see how he would adjust. Came out smoking, had a great game, portends well for the future. Alex Condon of Florida, he was an NBA guy, looked in the water, said, I'll go back to Florida, earn the big money, get the gator chop, and I'll be a first-team All-American. Really, really good decision on his part, I think. For one more year maybe, get loaded up, and it really does give Florida the chance to repeat. It gives him that extra edge because he's a great big man. And they've got some other good players there. You know, Thomas Hall, the great backcourt we've talked about, Boogie and Xavier Lee. So it's going to be exciting. Going to be exciting. I would say they got the best chance, to repeat here. UConn had a great chance, I thought, when they were doing it. The chance to go three-peat for them. I wanted to see it, but I thought it was a little far-fetched. 2 right here I think is possible if it goes right. Okay? Louisville, I'm shaking my head again because they're the second or third team to grab somebody out of the G League. So this is what I wanted to investigate because it was bugging me.
So they're going backwards now?
It was bugging me. All right? You're taking guys out of the G League, whatever. All right? You're taking guys from everywhere now, from Europe, from G League, from whatever. You know who's getting screwed, folks? The high school senior who now's got to go to prep, now got to go to JUCO, now got to go somewhere else to try and get a look because these guys are sucking up all the oxygen in the room. Now, you bring him in, okay? He comes in from the G League. Here's what was amazing to me. I go on ChatGPT or AI or any of those. I said, somebody help me. One of you guys tell me what's the story here. The story is, how do you sign a guy from the G League in the end of October when the semester started 1st of September? You're more than midway through it. And the answer back from the AI machine that I had there was, that's dependent upon the college. Their enrollment strategies. And their enrollment strategies for athletics are related only to the college that they're at. So right now, some schools, they must be those schools where you can instantly enroll somebody. Get this one, Pete. They're able to make up all the work that they missed.
Judge Mills Lane used to say this in Celebrity Deathmatch.
That one took me for a ride.
Remember Judge Mills Lane?
They're able to make up all the work they missed. I love it. Got a ton of valedictorians out there right now.
Judge Mills Lane, I'll allow it.
You got Izzo coming out. I mean, I guess he couldn't take it anymore. He put up with it through all the NIL. He put up with it through all the portal. But I think this just snapped, And he was out there the other day going, what's going on? I mean, what are we doing? And it's unbelievable. Kelvin Sampson. I think this is by design. I think it's by design. The coaches now, the big coaches that are left in the game are starting to voice their displeasure with this. They've chased a bunch of coaches out of the game. They've chased a bunch out already. These guys are saying, I don't want to go. I want to keep coaching. I love what I'm doing right now, but you're making my job crazy. You're making my job nuts. Pete, give me a count on how much time I got.
You got 8 minutes.
8 minutes. I love it. I've got for you all Big East preseason. This was dominated by only a few teams. St. John's, UConn. UConn gets 3 players on the All Big East preseason first team. I'm taking umbrage. I'm declaring umbrage, Pete. I'm citing that. That's crazy. There's other players in that league that could use a mention. All right, St. John's, 2 players. I was a little surprised at who they picked of the 2, to be honest with you. But we're going to go through them right here. This guy's poised to have a big year. No issue with this guy being on the first team All Big East preseason. His numbers from last year were solid. I'm a big fan. Solo Ball is going to have a good year for UConn. All right, he had a good year last year. The lefty, sniper, can shoot it from deep. I like him. No issue here. All right, now we go to Zuby Ejiofor, the big man for St. John's. Allows St. John's to switch 1 through 5. He can cover anybody. He goes out and covers a point guard off a pick and roll. No issue. Really, really worked hard on his game, according to Coach Pitino. Zuby Ejiofor, first team out of St. John's off of Queens Boulevard in New York City. Owen Freeman out of Creighton. Going to need a big year out of him. Creighton's a little down talent-wise from where they've been. They've gotten hit with a bunch of their guys going to the NBA. They've done a great job. Coach McDermott, Coach Derek Kellogg. Some of the other coaches out there have done a great job because they're getting hit with guys going to the NBA, and they're doing a good job with it. Bryce Hopkins from St. John's. I was surprised that they picked him as a preseason because Patino had him coming off the bench in the exhibition game that they played against Towson. Towson gave them all they could handle in the first half. St. John's looked awful. I almost wanted to redo my top 25 and pull them out of number one because I got a chance to see them, and they did not look good. They did not look in sync, and that's why you need a point guard, Coach Patino. Point guard position isn't dead. You guys might have tried to kill it, but it ain't dead. All right. Alex Caravan, UConn. I got issue. I'm taking issue here. I'm taking umbrage. Caravan doesn't belong on the first team in this league. Okay? That's what I'm saying. He's a great player as a role player. Great player in his context. And a wonderful young man from everything I can divine, from seeing him, watching him, seeing him be around fans, being at their games. Great kid. But I don't see it, especially when you got 3 UConn guys here. Now, I'm in love with Tarris Reed. I love Tarris Reed. Huge upside, huge potential. But first team, he hasn't done anything. I just think they could have spread this out a little bit more instead of giving St. John's and Connecticut 5 out of the 7 spots they took. They go to Chase Ross at Marquette with the 7th pick. And again, I like first teams that are 5. You know, some guys have 7 now. Some guys have 10. That's not the first team. That's you guys punking out. That's what it is. It's you guys punking out because you didn't want to say the hard choices. Make the hard votes. I don't like it. All right, only 4 schools represented there. Spread it out. It's a great league. You mean to tell me those are the only great players you have in that league? If that's true, you're in trouble. All right, non-conference battle royales, Pete. This is what I love about the new setup. What this has brought is television being the big dog has now all of these NCAA Power 4 basketball schools under Notre Dame football rules. Notre Dame wanted to play Appalachian State. Notre Dame wanted to play Mount St. Mary's. Notre Dame wanted to play St. Rita, Sisters of the Poor. And the TV people came in and said, we're giving you the biggest contract of anybody, bigger than some of the conferences. Your contract alone is bigger than some of the conferences. People are not going to watch Appalachian State. Now you're playing Michigan. Now you're playing Stanford. Now you're playing Alabama. And it was to the detriment of Notre Dame's football program. That's why they started off the year 0-2, because TV's running their schedule now. Same thing in the NCAA. TV money, TV schedule. It's their dough. So you're on the go. What that has brought in has been really good competition and cut down a lot of guys on a diet now. A lot of them coaches on a diet. Not so many cannolis, Pete.
Yep.
Not so many Dickie V cupcakes. So we got all that going on. These games are going to improve the game, actually. Coaches' records might not be as good. Might get a few guys fired, but it's going to improve the game overall, in my opinion. Here's a couple of the beauties that we got lined up. Florida at Duke. Great game. Great game. Awesome scheduling. You want to see the national champ. Go into Durham. And this is, and I'm going to give Golden credit. I'm going to give Todd Golden credit. They're going to Durham. They're going to Duke. When I say in this arrangement versus, that means it's neutral. So when you say at Duke, that means they're going to Duke. I give them a lot of credit for going in there. And why not? Why not go in the toughest place to play in the country and get your team ready against one of the best teams in the country? That's got some great matchups in there. Going to see the Boozer twins. Cam Boozer's off to a good start. St. John's versus Kentucky, game number 2. Awesome game. That's going to be a lot of athletes, a lot of good stretching of the floor. I believe that game might be in Madison Square Garden. Connecticut, Florida. All right, that's another good one. I give Florida credit. They just won it, but they're not ducking their schedule non-con here. They've got a good non-con. You got Duke. You got Connecticut. Connecticut was the team that almost beat them last year. So I think that's going to be a good game. I think that's neutral. Kentucky at Louisville, this is what people in that area live for. It's like Alabama and Auburn. It's like the great football rivalries. This is what people down there live for. Kentucky at Louisville, they don't like each other much. They want to beat each other over the head, and then it ruins the rest of the year for whoever loses. Unbelievable. And it's very, very difficult around the Christmas table if you got two different types of that fan there. All right, here's another great one. Duke, Michigan. Cam Boozer against Yaxel Lendenberg. What a great matchup that's going to be. I look for matchups, and that's a real good one that I'm looking forward to. Here's another one. Connecticut versus BYU. A.J. DeBonsa coming up against Connecticut. Danny Hurley's offense is going to be a great, great matchup. Kansas versus Duke. That's going to be a good one. Darren Peterson going up against the Boozer twins, the number 2 and 3 players in the country, locked in, probably 2 and 3 in the draft as well. We'll see how the year goes, but really, really good stuff. Arkansas at Duke. Cal going to play Duke. Good one. That's going to be neutral. Connecticut at Kansas. Give Danny Hurley credit. That's one of the toughest places in the world to play. And we got Houston, Tennessee going early. Houston and Tennessee going early. You'll see Nate Ahmet going up against that great Houston defense. Pete, congratulations, my brother.
Thank
You're
you.
a married man now. You're in the world with the rest of us as a married individual. I've got a couple of suggestions for you. Yes, dear is what's going to come out of your mouth a little bit more than it used to, okay? Yes, dear. And whenever you have something where your wife comes home and she's fired up about it, somebody at work pissed her off, somebody gave her the business at the stop sign, you're pissed off too. The minute she walks through that door and she's got an issue, you're ready to go. You're ready to kill. You're ready to maim. Folks, fired up today because we got the zone. We're lit. Hoops is on. We'll see you next week in the zone.